They say that the archives of a newspaper are like cemeteries, silent, forgotten, and full of stories no one wants to remember anymore. Lucas Gamares, a freshly graduated journalist, accepted a job cataloging the final documents of the defunct Oval Noticias, expecting only dust and boredom. But at the back of the last metal drawer, behind invoices and old obituaries, he found something out of time. It was a yellowed clipping, nearly disintegrating. The typography suggested it was from the mid-'80s. At the top, the headline read, "Residents report time drop. Entire street frozen for almost 4 hours." The text was incomplete, cut off at the bottom, and the side of the page was scorched, as if it had survived a fire. But what most disturbed Lucas wasn't the condition of the paper. It was the content. The remaining paragraph spoke of a night when all of Rue 11, in the center of the small town of Val de Salto, had allegedly stopped in time. Clocks, electronic devices, and even people appeared to be suspended for hours, according to witnesses. Intrigued, Lucas searched for the article in the digital archive of the municipal library. Nothing, not even in the state newspaper repository. Officially, that edition never existed. He spent the night staring at the clipping, a mix of fascination and dread in his chest. Why would a story like that be removed from all records? And why had no one ever mentioned it again? He decided that if no one investigated in 1986, June 17, 1986, Lucas went to the municipal library of Valle do Salto. There, the old annuals made no mention of the article. No edition of O Valle Noticias from that month had survived. Still determined, Lucas visited Rua 11, a quiet street with old houses still inhabited by elderly residents. Some refused to speak, but Dona Irachi, a white-haired lady, agreed to talk. Without Lucas even finishing the question, she said, "You're talking about the night everything stopped, aren't you?" She showed him a wall clock, stuck exactly at 3:12 a.m., the time of the phenomenon. She described that on that night, everything seemed eerily still. No wind, no roosters crowing, not even the ticking of clocks. Through her window, she had seen a neighbor crossing the street, but he was frozen mid-step, arm raised. "I was trapped inside the stillness. What scared me most was the silence. It was a living silence," she said. Other residents confirmed similar stories, radios repeating the word, "come back," for hours. Children claiming to have seen the sunrise twice. The mayor blamed it on a prolonged power outage, but the residents insisted that nothing stopped. Everything froze. There was no explanation, no official investigation. No journalists returned to the street after that edition. To Lucas, it wasn't a printing error or mass hysteria. It was a trace of something real and buried. 2 weeks later, Lucas returned to the town, determined to find answers. He visited the abandoned buildings of the old Ovalle Noticias newsroom and print shop. The building was partially in ruins, with ash and soot from a fire in 1993. All archives were intact except for those from June 1986, burned down to the shelf edges. At the Plaza Cafe, Lucas was approached by Silverio, a former layout designer for the paper. When Lucas mentioned the Rua 11 story, Silverio turned pale. He said that the reporter responsible, Otavio Ribeiro, had insisted on publishing the story, but the editor-in-chief banned any further investigation. Any mention of the case was to be erased. A month later, Otavio vanished without a trace, as if he'd been taken by the truth he sought. The silence of the townspeople, the missing files, the fire, all pointed to something or someone trying to erase that night from memory. Lucas decided to go deeper. He discovered that Otavio was never officially declared dead. He contacted a distant nephew who, to his surprise, had already received offers to sell the reporter's diary. 2 days later, the nephew delivered a box to Lucas, yellowed pages, notes, clippings, and a personal journal hidden beneath Otavio's floorboards. The notes began weeks before the article. Otavio wrote of dreams about a silent street, lampposts without light, clocks spinning backward, and whispering voices. He called Rua 11 a dead point, a space between seconds, a place that glitches. He wrote about a mysterious figure, a thin man in a dark coat and hat, standing still at the end of the street, who vanished whenever Otavio tried to approach. The last entry in the journal, dated July 16, 1986, said he would return to Rua 11 at 3:12 a.m. to to see what happened for himself, leaving a recorder on the car seat in case something went wrong. Lucas felt a chill as he closed the journal, as if he could hear the distant click of a recorder being triggered. That night, he parked on Rua 11, exactly as Otavio described. It was 3:08 a.m. The air felt heavy, suffocating. With the recorder on, he walked to the center of the street. The lampposts were lit but frozen. The clock read 3:12. Suddenly, everything stopped. The sound vanished, the recorder went silent, even the air seemed frozen. Lucas saw shadows, cars suspended in time. And at the end of the street, the man in the hat, unmoving, facing away. When the figure turned, it had no face, no eyes or mouth, but Lucas was sure it was smiling. A metallic click, the lamplight flickered. Everything resumed. Lucas knew he had crossed the same time fold that had swallowed Otavio, and he had returned for now. After that night, Lucas felt the weight of the secret. He recorded every detail, but knew that revealing it might come at a price. Like Otavio, he was now part of something many preferred to forget. Days later, a box arrived with no return address. Inside, a yellow copy of the final edition of Ovale Noticias. The headline read, Rua 11, The Hidden Truth. The pages were blank except the last one, with a handwritten sentence. Some stories are pieces of a time that shouldn't be remembered. If you read this, you're marked. A clear warning. He had to choose, keep uncovering or bury it all. It to tell your manager when they walked to Aquamps, to track the lies of a time, to man in sound distills. At that moment, the recorder on his desk emitted a strange sound, a whispered voice repeating, "Come back, come back, come back." Lucas looked at Rua 11, seemingly ordinary, but he knew reality still trembled, that the impossible could happen again, and that time is no friend to those who seek the truth.